What's going on, guys? Back with another video. Today going to be detailing my S550. Just thought I'd show you what I do to get the job done and some of the products that I use, some of the tools. Most of the tools I got online. As far as the cleaning products, it's all stuff that you can get in your store, your local parts store or Walmart, Target, whatnot. I think most of those places probably carry just about everything that I'll be using today. But as far as the tools, I got those online, the cleaning tools. But yeah, just gonna do a little cleaning here, not getting too crazy here. I just want to clean it up. I was out driving the other day, and it's I like to try and keep it maintained, so concentrate on getting the wheels cleaned up and stuff like that, and get the bugs off the front. It's a bug collector, so it's got some splatters on the front, so we'll be getting that taken care of. Just giving it a once over. Nothing too crazy. I cleaned it the other day already, so it just needs a quick cleaning. Did the interior, vacuumed it out and everything like that, so all that's good to go. But yeah, basically what we'll be using today is the Ryobi electric pressure washer. Picked this up at Home Depot for like 110 bucks or something like that. It's a 1600 psi, 1.2 gallon per minute. Good for, in my opinion, good for light duty stuff. I specifically bought this thing to do the cars with, just to detail the cars. It's got a lot more pressure than what you're going to get out of a hose, and it does a really good job. The one nice feature I like about this is it's got a on-off shut off here. You pull the trigger on the gun, and it might not shut right off here. All right, it did, because it's got to be purged. You got to purge this when you hook all the lines up here, your pressure washer hose and your garden hose and whatnot. You got to purge the system. You got to get all the air out of there. So I'll have to do that for about 30 seconds or so. I will do that with while I'll be purging it while I'm filling up my wash buckets here. As you can see, I got 2 buckets. I was doing the 2-bucket method, basically cleaning the car, the paint surfaces, with 2 buckets. Since I've been using the foam cannon, I have moved away from that. I'm actually just using 1 bucket to do the cleaning, and then the other bucket now is reserved for doing the wheels. Black wheels, I want to make sure that I don't get any large chunks in there, and really mar up the paint on them. So I decided that I would go with a just 1 bucket to do the wheels with. Let's see here. Yeah, basically what we'll be using is for the washing, doing all the paint surfaces, is this microfiber sponge. It's got a little abrasive on the one side here. It's like a cloth, but it's nice to get those bugs off the front of the front bumper there. So I like that. I'll use that for doing the cleaning. And then in my wheel bucket, I'll be using a mitt, another microfiber mitt. And I bought a whole kit of these, a whole set of these. These are boar's hair detailing brushes. I use this one to do the lugs. It came with, like, I don't know, maybe 8 or 10 of these in different sizes. I got these on Amazon for like 15 bucks or something like that. But yeah, it comes with a set of them, and you can use them for your interior and stuff like that. Like all the little, there's smaller ones in there you can use, but I use this one to do the lugs. These mitts, I bought these at the parts store or something like that. These weren't any online things. So the boar's hair I bought online. This brush, I can't remember which one it is, what brand it is. It was probably 15-20 bucks or something like that. But I use this to do the wheel wells and the barrels, and I'll spray it off in between to make sure that there's no gunk or anything like that on there. I did fill both buckets up with a little bit of soap. I will be using, this is again stuff that I bought at the store. This is Griot's Brilliant Finish car wash. It's like maybe 10-11 bucks for this 64-ounce container. It says right there, works great with foam cannons and sprayers. So that's actually why I picked it up. It seemed like a decent price, and it said that it worked with those. So I wanted to try and get a little bit of foam out of there. And for the tire dressing, again, picked this up in the stores, couple bucks, Black Magic Tire Wet. I've been using this stuff for years. I like the shine that it gives out, especially on the Michelin tires that I use. Puts a nice shine on there, and it stays on there for a good bit. And then this here is the Meguiar's quick detailer. I use this at the end when I microfiber dry my car. I have a microfiber drying cloth, and I'll use that along with the mist to add as an extra lubricant, and I'll give it a quick once over. I just spray a little bit, you know, just basically mist the surface of the car, and yeah, and then dry it off. And it's nice time right now. It's about 7 o'clock or so, 6:37. So the sun is down. It's you know, it's still a little bit warm out, but the sun's not beating on the car, so it'll help to avoid water spots and stuff like that. You can do it, you know, detail the car and spray it and wash and all that stuff in the sun. It's not really recommended, but if you work fast and get it dried before, you know, the water starts to you know, burn off, you know, to keep it from getting water spots on there. But, you know, like I say, if you work pretty quick, you can get it done. I've done it. It's just you gotta kind of move along here. So now I can at least take my time a little bit, won't have to rush too much. But yeah, so we're gonna get started here. This is what, like I said, this is what I use. I do have the foam cannon, of course, as I mentioned. I will be using, this is, again, Amazon. I think I paid $25 for this. I got this in the gun, this little spray gun. I'm not getting crazy with this stuff. I don't do this as a profession. This is just stuff that I you know, for my own personal use. But I got this on Amazon, with, like I said, with the gun for 25 bucks. I did do the 1.1 orifice upgrade on this thing, or I guess they consider it an upgrade. I don't know. I don't really notice that big of a difference. If I put this much fluid in here, washer soap, and I fill it about halfway, I get plenty of suds, as you'll see in a minute here. But yeah, this works good. Again, I did put the 1.1 in there, but I think if you use the right soap to water ratio, you could certainly use the stock one. I think it's like 1.2 or something like that. They recommend having a 2.0 gallon per minute pressure washer to use this foam cannon with the, I think even stock. But like I say, if you get your ratios right, it certainly will do a great enough job with this the smaller pressure washer. I mean, again, this is only a 1.2 gallon per minute, so it's not, you know, basically, you know, from the factory recommendations, it's not ideal, but as you will see, it works perfectly fine. And so yeah, let's get started. All right, so first what I'm going to do is as I'm filling up these buckets, I'm going to be purging this line. As I said earlier, you know, you got to purge it, so I'll purge it as I'm filling these up. And it might do it right now, I don't know. You'll see it. Sometimes it'll spit and sputter. I already pulled it a couple of times, so it might have actually already purged itself. But Ryobi recommends about 30 seconds or so of squeezing the trigger like this, letting the water run through to get all the air out of it. Yep, see, you hear that? Yeah, so it's still, even after running it that long, it's still got a little bit of air in it. So that's why I figure by the time I get these 2 buckets filled up, this thing will be more than enough purged that I can get to going without having any hiccups here. Because as soon as I put that nozzle on there, the spray nozzle, it's really going to choke it up and it'll spit and sputter if it's not purged correctly. So just make sure, you know, especially if any of these any kind of pressure washer for that matter, but these, I think the main part here is because it's only 1.2 gallon per minute, it takes a little bit longer, you know, for it to purge out. If you had a larger unit or something with a little bit more gallons per minute, it'd probably go a lot faster. as far as the purging process. But yeah, I like this little unit here, though. It's good for, like I say, for doing this kind of stuff, and it's quiet operation. You should be able to, even with this thing running and I'm right next to it, you should be able to hear my audio pretty well. You know, it's relatively quiet, and again, I pull the trigger, let off the trigger, and it stops running, which is the main feature for this thing. You know, I had a gas pressure washer that I was using, but that thing was so noisy. It didn't have any type of auto shut off on it, so it constantly ran, and I usually would end up shutting it off, and then I'd have to, you know, when I was ready to spray it off, I would have to you know, pull the cord and start it back up, and it was just a pain in the neck. So I do all my cars at home, so I figured it'd be worth it to, you know, get something to do this at home with. But yeah, it works nice. It came with comes with a couple of different attachments here. These are what is this? This is like a low pressure nozzle for doing like little soap and rinse. Yeah, but it's low pressure. And then there's this 15-degree nozzle that it comes with. This is what I'll be using today to spray off. Now, if I was using a larger unit, something with more PSI or more gallons per minute, I would not recommend using a 15-degree nozzle. It's got a lot of cutting power if it's used on the right unit. On this smaller unit, it's got plenty of power, but not enough that, you know, at like a couple of feet or whatever, it's going to do any damage. I mean, if you're not careful, you can ruin your rubber moldings and maybe even some painted surfaces. You know what I mean? Like it'll cut if you're not careful. Like, but I say it's on the larger units. On this little thing, it doesn't seem to be. Seems more than enough to do what I got to do as far as the detailing, but not enough to really cause any damage. And then there is I think they call it a turbo nozzle. It's like an oscillating nozzle for doing, like, they say you can use it to do your like concrete or siding or whatever, or something like that. A little bit more heavy duty, heavier duty cleaning, but I don't use it. Like I say, I just bought this thing to do the cars with. So yeah, we'll give it a just gonna wet it down real quick, kind of do a little pre-treat, pre-soak. Oh, I will mention one thing too. I didn't mention this earlier on, but I do have a couple of little add-ons I did with this pressure washer to kind of make it more fitting for me. The pressure washer came with a 20-foot hose, I think it was. Too short for me, especially if I do it. I use it to clean my truck. It's not long enough to get around the entire car without picking the unit up and moving it around. So I bought the Ryobi 35-foot hose. It was an additional you know, amount. I think it was like 30 bucks or something like that, 40 bucks. I also bought this, I got this on Amazon. It's a swivel. This will allow me to hold the trigger and unkink the hose while I got pressure on it. If you didn't have this on there, you wouldn't be able to do that. It would be very tough to turn. I put quick connects on here as well. I got the swivel, and then I added a quick connect, and then I added a quick connect on the other end. So I tried to make it as quick as possible to get everything, you know, hooked up. So yeah, but I like the swivel, and I would recommend getting a larger hose. That way you don't have to keep pulling your unit around, moving the unit around. That unit can stay right there. I've got enough hose, you know, basically I can go all the way around this car, right to the front. Even on my truck, I can go all the way around my truck. you know, without having to pick it up. So that was a nice little feature. So all right, we got this thing, you know, I got it wetted up. I probably could have just done it with the foam cannon. Oh, we got to fill this thing up too. So yeah, I'll probably put like I said, I got about that much fluid in there, soap. So we'll add about half, give or take. I put the soap in first and then add the water. That way it kind of like pre-mixes it for me. You know what I mean? Like you can give it a little shake. Shake it up, mix it up a little bit, but that should have mixed it up pretty well. And plus when you, this thing, you know, this nozzle on the top here, you know, the sprayer, you know, it's mixing the water and the soap all together anyway, so it's probably going to do that anyway, you know what I mean, just how it's designed. So we'll put this on there, quick connect. Now this is your adjustment here, plus minus, figure out your spray pattern. I'll have to probably do some adjustments here. Yeah. Get a little bit of a fan spray on it. I've got this all the way up. I want as much soap as possible. So I got the this turned all the way up, so it's less water, more suds. And we'll just go around. And you can see, like I said, this got the 1.1 in it, orifice, and it lays down a decent amount of foam. So we'll just pre-treat everything. Get the wheels. Yeah, again, I'm not a detailer. I don't do it as a profession. It's more of like just like a hobby or something that I just like to do for myself. I'm not very close to any car washes or anything like that, so it's you know, for the amount of, I probably got a couple $100 into all my, you know, all the products that I've bought, you know, to make this job possible. You know what I mean, as far as like the cleaning itself, and eventually that I think just for that, and it's not that much really. I mean, there's guys out there spending way more money on you know, on this kind of stuff, but for me, for just doing what I do, it's more than enough. Gets the job done, does a great job of doing it, and you know, it didn't cost me an arm and a leg, and you know, I get the results that I want, I think, anyways. You know what I mean, for me personally, it does, you know, it does what I needed to do. So you can actually see this thing did the whole car, you know, that half a container filled up, you know, basically, and you'll know it's out right now. Boom, it's starting to run, the water's starting to run, it's starting to run clear. So now you know you're out of suds. But yeah, I'll let that sit for a second, and we'll spray it off. Put my nozzle back on, we'll spray it off. This is basically what I do here, is just a pre-treat. I'm going to pre-treat it with the foam. We'll spray it off, and then I'll hit it up with the brush and get all the heavier stuff off. This car is not, like I said, I washed it the other day, but I like to keep it clean. I like to keep the wheels looking fresh, and you know, I'll get the bugs off the front, and I'll use the you know, that sponge to do that. So yeah, this is basically it, you know. I mean, so we'll, you know, spray it off, and then we'll get to cleaning it. Now this, the reason why I do this is, you know, versus the 2-bucket, I'll kind of talk about that a little bit here, is the 2-bucket is kind of the same thing. You know, you're trying to minimize the amount of debris that you're dragging along your painted surfaces and stuff like that, you know. So by doing the 2-bucket, you've got one, the idea is to have one clean bucket, one dirty bucket, and you clean with the clean bucket, you go over it, start from the top, work your way down, and then you know, constantly rinsing the sponge off in the dirty bucket and then going back to your clean bucket, and you're just basically going back and forth from the clean to the dirty, clean, dirty, and just trying to minimize the amount of contaminants that you're putting back onto the car or dragging across the car. Now, the way I look at it with this the foam cannon and doing what I'm doing right now as far as a pre-treat, there's guys that are out there that probably foam it and then go right to the sponge. Well, the way I'm looking at it is kind of like the 2-bucket thing is method is to pre-treat it, let the soap kind of work in a little bit, break all that stuff down. As you can see, well, I don't know if you can really pick it up there. There's a little bit of, it might be a little dirty. These wheels weren't all that bad, but you know, you'll notice if you got a really dirty car, when you do the foam cannon, it'll drip. All that foam will drip, and it'll, you know, the dirt will literally just run right off. So by doing this, I'm minimizing the amount of dirt that when I go over with the sponge, that's going to be on the surface of the car. You know what I mean? So I pre-treat it with the foam cannon, spray all that, everything that has been broken down from the foam and ran off. And you could probably let this sit a little bit longer than I did, you know what I mean, really let it run off. But like I say, I already cleaned this car the other day. It's not really dirty, so I'm just kind of doing a once over here. But yeah, if your car was really, whatever you're cleaning is really dirty, you know, you could probably let it sit a little bit longer and really make sure that it, you know, breaks everything down and kind of loosens everything up and let it really run off. But yeah, as you can see, this is, like I said, this is a 15 degree nozzle, and it does a good job of getting everything, you know, getting all the soap and everything off there, and it'll knock some of these bugs off. You know what I mean? Like, there's bugs all over the place down the front here. It'll knock all that off. You know, now if I had a really high PSI pressure washer and I got that close to the plastics like that, there is a, you know, or even rubber, there is a good possibility it could mar that up pretty good. So you know, you got to use caution when you're using a pressure washer. Even this little thing, I mean, I would still use some caution with it, even though it's not all that strong or that powerful, you know what I mean? I would I'd still use a little bit of caution. You want to be careful, especially around your soft moldings and stuff like that, around the windows. You don't want to cut through that. That could be an expensive repair. So now this car, I've never really noticed it. I mean, every car's got like little cracks and crevices, you know, little spots here and there that you got to kind of pay a little bit more attention to. When you use these foam cannons, this stuff puts foam everywhere. I mean, it locks itself in here, and specifically, watch, I'm probably going to do it right now. I don't know if you can see down in that trunk there, but there is foam sitting down in this little channel here. And see right there, it just pops right out. So I go right into the trunk there, and it drains out. You'll see it draining down there's little ports or drainage down here in the lights and down in the bumper there for all that water to run off. But yeah, with the foam cannons, just make sure you really are kind of thorough in your cleaning. Otherwise, when you go to start drying it off, you're going to find foam that's been collected somewhere. So I just go over it really good. Now try and get all the little cracks and crevices. This car's got a lot of them. all the angles. There's a lot of angles on this car, so a lot of places for all that stuff to get trapped. So we got it pretty well cleaned off here. All right, now we'll just give it we got it pretty much rinsed off here. We'll do a quick once over with the sponge. Again, you know, just start from the top and work our way down. Do one panel at a time. There's so many different ways of doing this, you know. I mean, I don't know, I'm sure there's wrong ways, and I'm not saying that everything that I do is probably right. There might be people out there that have a difference of opinion, you know, have a certain way. You know, they might watch this video and be like, oh, you know, I wouldn't have done that this way or that way or whatever, you know what I mean? But like I say, it works for me. I've had this car a couple of years now, and it still looks just as new as the day I drove it off the lot. So you know what I mean, it works. But like I said, I'm not going to get too crazy here. I'm just gonna, like I said, just do a quick once over. And but mainly, I mean, like the surface, most of the surface areas are pretty clean. Other than the front, that was my main thing, is getting the bugs off. I don't like having, you know, I don't like that kind of stuff sitting on the paint surface too long, especially now, summertime. You know, that can't be good for that to be sitting on there baking in the sun. So you know, good for the paint surface anyways. And I haven't actually waxed this. I've never done a wax on this car either, so I gotta probably at some point I'll decontaminate the whole car, like maybe do a clay bar or something like that, you know, do a nice thorough job, clay bar the whole car, and you know, detail it like I am kind of right now, maybe a little bit more thorough, and do a clay bar, and then wax it. I got some I'll show you here. I got some wax. Again, this was something that I had to purchase this online. I couldn't buy it in a store. I think it's Colonite. I have to look at the brand. It was like 30-something bucks for this Carnauba wax. Supposedly, it's very good. It's good at repelling water and stuff like that. It's a good, really good protectant. And you know, I figured at some point this summer, or maybe even probably in the fall, I don't know if I'd want to be out here in this heat trying to do that. You know, maybe find a nice cool night sometime to do it. Now, as you can see right here, I'm using the back side of this pad to clean the bugs off, and it does a good job. You know, like I said earlier, it's not very abrasive, you know what I mean? It's just got enough, it's kind of, you know, just a little rough, you know what I mean? But like, I don't know how to explain it, but you'll if you've seen them before, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's does a good job of getting that stuff off. And again, you know, by pre-treating the car too with the soap, that helped to soften all that stuff up, you know what I mean? It makes it a lot easier. By doing that, it makes it a heck of a lot easier to get them off, you know, get that kind of stuff off. So but yeah, I was into the two bucket system, or doing the 2-bucket method or whatever, you know. I was doing that for a while, and then you know, after doing a little bit of searching around and digging, you know, looking at some other resources and stuff like that, and I found that just this, for me, this way, I don't know if it's really a method per se. I don't know if there's other guys that are out there doing it just like this, you know, as far as like doing the foam cannon and then a separate bucket, you know, pre-treating with the foam cannon, and then using it, and then, you know, cleaning it off and then doing the sponge. I don't know if I'm saving any product or using any more product. I really don't pay too much mind to that. I know I'm not using a ton, you know what I mean. That bottle of Griot's soap that I bought, I've had that. I've washed my cars several times, my trucks, or my truck, my car, my Acura. I've washed, you know, my wife's cars. I've done several cars, and I've only used probably half of that container, you know what I mean. So I'll definitely get my money's worth out of that. But yeah, I mean, you can see there's a hard, you know, this water, I don't know if you can really pick that up, but this water's still pretty clean, you know what I mean. Like I've already done, you know, most of the work here as far as with that, you know, with the foam cannon. So there's not much, like I said, this car wasn't that dirty, but there's not going to be that much stuff on the car, you know what I mean, when you do it that way. And I would imagine even if you had a really mudded up car, you know, or something really dirty, you know what I mean, like it's going to do the same thing, you know what I mean. Go all the way around the car. Like I say, I start from the top and try to work my way down. Try to remember where I go. I mean, there's probably, like I said, there's different ways of doing this too, I'm sure, you know what I mean. Probably somebody might do one side of the car first, and then, you know, work their way from the top and work their way down. All do one side, you know what I mean, the whole entire side of the car, or do one panel at a time. I kind of just, as you can see, I just pick the bucket up and I walk around the whole car. Start from, like I said, I do start from the top, but and then work all the way down, and I just go around the whole car. And then after I get this done, it's on to the wheels. Alright, pretty much did. I think I did all that. I already did the front bumper. So we'll go around the other side. Start at the top of the fender here. Work our way down. You know, and I'm by using this soapy water too, as I said earlier, you know, I put the soap in there to add as a little bit of a lubricant. You know, the soap acts as a lubricant. So if there's anything on there, I'm not dragging it right onto the paint, you know what I mean. It's kind of moving with the water here and the suds. If there's anything on there, I have a feeling this car is virtually clean just from doing the foam cannon, you know what I mean, and then doing the pre-rinse. This is just to really kind of seal the deal here and make sure I got a nice clean surface. That way when I go to microfiber dry the car, you know, I use my drying cloth. I'm not worried about you know, anything being dragged along. So that's pretty much it. Now onto the wheels. I'm not going to get too crazy on this. I'll probably actually just either I'll do one wheel, show you what exactly I do, because this video is probably already getting pretty long here as it is. But I'll do one wheel and either just fast forward or start and stop. Start and stop, and then pick up where I left off. Clean this stuff out later. Yeah, so we'll rinse this off now. Again, getting all those little cracks and crevices. Not so bad now because I don't have nearly as much suds on the car now, but with that foam cannon, again, make sure you get all your little spots. My engine bay is pretty clean. I'm not gonna go into detail on that or anything like that. This car doesn't really see a lot of black fly. Freaking things hurt like a bastard. Yeah, this car doesn't see a lot of, well, it doesn't really see much bad weather at all. I mean, I got caught in a rainstorm the other day, and that was why I cleaned it the last time. Just because I had a lot of road debris and stuff like that from the rainwater. But yeah, this car doesn't usually see too much, so I don't. It doesn't get all that dirty. I try to stick to just driving in nice weather. Plus, I don't want to be constantly detailing it either. You know what I mean? Like if I want it to be clean. So if I was driving it all, driving it all the time, I would probably be cleaning it all the time, because I like when I'm driving, I like it to be nice and fresh. So I try to stick to nice weather. This seems pretty good, pretty clean. I think I got everything. Yeah, I'll hit it one more time before I finalize here. So we'll get into doing the wheels now. Again, I just add a little bit of soap to this bucket, just so it's got some suds in there. We'll do the wheel lug with this boar's hair brush. Kind of get in there pretty good. Yeah, it gets in there pretty good, All right. So we'll get that. Get the barrels. Now, like I say, again, I've already, this car was pretty clean, so it's not going to probably take too much. Clean the barrels out. I probably am not going to do my fenders today, the inner wells. They don't seem god awful. So now what I'll do here is I'll go over it. And before I put this back in the bucket, run it off all the way around the rim. It's got a little rubber tip on there too, so it's nice. It's actually, I think it's metal on the inside, but I've used it a few times. It doesn't seem to be damaging the wheel or the paint or anything like that. But it's got a metal core there, where the bristles are held on, and they put a little rubber tip on the end there to protect it, so you're not gouging your wheels. Let's see here. So yeah, now that I've clean the barrel, I'll rinse it off, get whatever brake dust or whatever that's on there, get that off, and then I'll take the mitt, put the mitt on, and just go over it real quick. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I think with the Meguiar's spray, I'll do the microfiber cloth with the Meguiar's as well. I spray a little bit, and I do the wheels the same way. When they're still a little bit damp, I take a clean microfiber cloth, and I'll dry these off as well with the microfiber, and I'll use a little mist, McGuire's mist, again, just as a added lubricant, because I don't know, it seems to me every time, no matter how thorough I try to be in cleaning the wheels, I always somehow manage to miss a little crack or a little crevice. So those little cracks and crevices are the ones that you know, might be holding something that could, you know, scratch the wheel or whatever. So I feel if I put a little bit of that on there, that'll help to minimize the drag that I'm going to get, you know, I mean, if I do actually pick something up. So, and then we'll take this and again just rinse it off. This thing, you know, is not, before I put it back in my bucket, just to try and keep the water as clean as possible. I don't want to be, you know, I'm not going to get too crazy here, but I don't want to, you know, at the same time, I want to try and minimize the amount of contaminants that I'm taking off. You know, I don't want to put them back on to the surface. So you can see this little boar's head, it works nice. Gets right in there, ring it around in there. These are very, very hard spots to get at with it, you know, without really, you kind of need something like that. There's really nothing you could stick in there like a rag or anything that's really going to get in there and clean that off, clean it out. This brush is nice too. I got 10-inch wheels on the front and 11s in the back, wide wheels, and this thing does a great job of getting all the way to the end, you know what I mean? Like I don't have to, I can pretty much touch the whole surface with this. You can actually see that, you know, where the red is. There's a lot of brake dust on there. So I'm gonna just quickly clean this off. That's why I add the soap, to hopefully minimize that. Now, if you guys haven't seen my other video, I've got some videos out there. I'm trying to start been putting out some content, trying to put out more as time goes on here. But if you haven't seen my other videos, I had recently put these P51 wheels on here, the 20-inch wheels. And I'll tell you, not only do I like the look of these wheels, as you'll see in my, if you watch my other video there, but the one thing I like about the 20s as opposed to the 19s, I like the looks of the 19s, but they didn't have a lot of tire sizes, which is why I went with, you know, options as far as tire sizes. So 20s seem to have a little bit more of a variety. But the one thing I like about the 20s though is getting in. I could not take this brush before and get behind this caliper like that with the 19s. These are just, it's still a little bit snug. I mean, there's some resistance there, but it's just enough clearance to get behind there and clean behind the brake caliper, you know, get the barrel. What I used to have to do with the 19s is I would have to roll the car forward or backward, you know, and clear the caliper and then hit it up. You know what I mean? Like it was a little bit, it was an extra step, whereas now I don't have to worry about that. I got enough room to get in there with that brush. So yeah, like I said, most likely I'm going to probably miss some stuff here. There'll be something once this thoroughly dries. Even once it thoroughly dries, I might discover something. I'd be like, oh man, I didn't hit that little, like up here, wait, where my, put my fingers up in here, like it's these little corners, little nooks and crannies here. They collect stuff, so collect some brake dust. So I'm just going to do the other two sides here. I'm not gonna talk. I'll probably just fast forward through this part. All right, so wheels are done. Like I say, I'll dry it off with microfiber, do some of that Meguiar's quick detail, dry the wheels off with a clean microfiber, and I won't run you through that process there. I mean, it's pretty much cut and dry, but yeah, I'll be back here in a second. All right, got it all dried up, got the wheels all done. Again, like I said earlier, you know, I use a little bit of that Meguiar's and some drying cloths, and comes out looking real nice. Now this isn't like a whole before and after either. You know, this car wasn't dirty. This video is more or less just to show you what I do to clean my cars, to maintain them. Like I say, it seems to work for me. You know, I don't have any problems. My surface is always nice and spot free. And just to show you, this is the cleaning cloth that I used to dry the wheels. Most of these marks are from the tire. It's from hitting the tire. You know what I mean? That wheel, all 4 wheels I did with this cloth, and you can see it's pretty clean. So, you know, doing it the way that I did it, not saying it's the right or wrong way, but it certainly helps and keeps your wheels scratch free. As you can, you know, I don't know if it's going to pick up on here, but you'll see these things are, you know, it's probably getting dark out now. The sun's starting to really set, but you know, it's still got a nice gloss on them. And I've washed these wheels a few times already since I've gotten since I put them on. So, but yeah, now I'll probably have to go back over this one time. As soon as I start this thing up, it's gonna all of a sudden. I'll have some water drops here and there. They'll just start coming out of the woodwork here, so to speak. So I'll have to probably hit it up just real quick with the microfiber, make sure that I get those drops cleaned up before they start attracting dust, and then you got these big streaks coming down the side of it, you know, whatnot. But yeah, all the plastic's nice and glossy. But yeah, that's how I do it. Take what you want from it, you know. Like I said, that's how I came up with this method for me that works. Just watching other videos and talking to other people and stuff like that, and kind of taking tidbits from everything from those sources. And yeah, that's it for now. But stay tuned, like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more content. Thanks for watching.